Hello everybody, welcome back to Thomas Plays Games. We're playing Factorio. This is episode 5. And I'm working on setting up the area where I want the green science to be done right now. So, for green science you need the belts, basic belts, and inserters. So I'm trying to work on where I want the gears to show up and where I want the inserters. Trying to offset them a little bit so that I can actually get the gears in the right... Alright, so that I can actually scale the gears if I need to, or scale the production if I need to go past one. Unlikely, but just in case, trying to be as future-proof as possible. Yeah. Just placing that. Eventually I'll be moving the belt setup because it doesn't end up working properly, or working perfectly right there. Yeah, looking at where I want the power poles to be set up. The small power poles are always a bit of a hassle, and they can look pretty bad. Because you have to just place so many to cover areas sometimes. So yeah, I decided to offset it a little bit just in case I need more gears to be produced. And yeah, running on back. Okay, yeah, just trying to get the resources where they need to be. Yeah, so you gotta, main bus set up, you gotta get the resources where they need to go, so I'm trying to get the iron down there. Most of the production of these things is by iron, so put down an underground belt to allow me to loop the iron in for the gears. And keep this other portion going. I'll have to connect up some iron. Yeah, I'll have to connect up some iron for when I do the actual inserter setup, but for now this is functional at least. There we go, I only wanted at half the belt. So that I can make sure I insert the gears on the other half of the belt. So yeah, pretty simple design overall. Just chopping down trees, of course. It's just how you do things when you are in a forest map. There's a very large patch of iron over there. It's going to take quite a while to mine out so that I can extend the bus if needed. And yeah, just got to set up the inserter area now. The inserters, I think they take about half a second, same with... Yeah, so both inserters and belts, I think, take about half a second each. And the green science packs take 6 seconds, so you should be able to keep 12 assembly machines going with this ratio, or just using one. So it turns out that the major problem that I'm going to end up with is that I don't have enough resources to feed the machines properly. So I don't get consistent production. I don't get consistent production the way that you want when you're doing these things, so it does take a while. It's kind of like you either have a problem in Factorio with your production of resources, or your use of resources to produce other things, or your production of the base resources. And the production of base resource problems could be like you don't have enough. You don't have enough smelting setups, like that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's going to take a while. And these things inserters take circuits, plates, and gears. So I need to make sure that I can have circuits get into place too. And, just like trying to set it up in a relatively intelligent way. And of course, making the aesthetics of the base look nice, trying to get down, put these paths down so I can walk quickly whenever I need to get somewhere. Yeah, of course, chopping down more trees. I need to get the circuits into where I'm doing this, and it's kind of almost a little spaghetti-y. The way that I ended up setting this up. It should be scalable. It should be pretty easy to scale, especially when I get faster belts so that I can have more throughput. But it doesn't end up looking like the best thing ever. And I end up with either problems. Oh gosh. Yeah, so you either get problems with the actual. You either get problems with the iron or you have problems with the circuits. And right now, I don't have many circuits. I'm going to try to restrict these a bit more. Put some of mine in there so I can get these circuits to actually move down in location. I'm looking at these things, I'm like, why are the circuits so much slower than you'd think they are? And I think it's two reasons why the circuits would be slow. So it's the assembly machines produce at 0.25 crafting speed slower than the other assembly machines would, and the actual inserting of the wire into the circuit assembly machine is pretty slow because of the yellow one. So I'm going to upgrade these things to level 2. It's going to take quite a lot of resources to actually fix that, but yeah, we're going to do that. Upgrade these to level 2 as much as I can, and then I'll have to upgrade the inserters eventually. Because there is a pretty decent slowdown in the inserting of the copper wire into the circuits. And yeah, we're still working on just getting the level 1 sciences. It looks like I have one belt out of place, or I didn't place one belt, so that just had to fix that one a little bit. I'm running around to see. These things are good. Now I want to try to increase the production. So one or two science packs every 6 seconds is not really that many. I'm gonna upgrade to like 20 every 6 seconds or so if you want to really do a lot of research. Maybe 10 would be okay. And yeah, the problem is mostly with the actual circuits. I'm producing more circuits than I was, but it is still a little slower because I have a lot more iron backed up and a lot more facilities to make iron than I do for circuits. And I'm like, what do I want for the next one? I'm going to need a couple of these things. I was going to go for advanced material processing, but I realized that I don't have many green science packs being made yet. So I figure I'll just try to get rid of all the red sciences while I can. Yeah, I'll try to get rid of them as much as I can. Once I'm out of red, I should have a pretty substantial backlog of green that I can start utilizing for the more advanced sciences. And yeah, I was looking at this and I was like, okay, the red science area that I made is pretty good, but it still uses assembly machine 1s, so I do want to upgrade that. And definitely upgrade the gears that make them too. Although I don't remember if I actually pay attention to that. And yeah, lighten the place up so everybody can see. Looks quite nice, trying to get a symmetric design. Yeah, it looks a lot better that way. You can kind of ignore the spaghetti in this sense. There we go, I do upgrade the gears, excellent. I do have lots of gears, gotta pick up some iron, wander on up. I just wander my way up to the actual furnace production area. Won't be too much longer before I'm able to upgrade all those furnaces into the level 2 furnaces. And I figure I should grab some more mining drills. Those are always building mining drills and building assembly machines is always a bit tough with this expensive setup. It takes like 70 iron to make one mining drill, which is a pretty decent chunk. And the fact that you have to make gears also slows it down a little bit. So I'm trying to look around like, okay, I am going to need to start digging up this iron because it is in the way. Yeah, the lakes there will make it a little tough before I get landfills, but I should be able to start digging up the places immediately beside me. And be able to like get more resources and use them effectively. It's just going to take a lot of things to get there. And of course we got to chop down the trees before I can place anything. The presence of this patch made it so that instead of the usual design where I build the bus and then all of my assembly machines go on top of the bus, I ended up having to do a design where I put things on either side of the bus and just kind of hope I don't have to extend the amount of things on the bus. I'm just gonna connect up the old power poles. Do it along the bottom. Of course I need more of these. And yeah, now I need to get this iron to a place where it'll actually be used. Of course, gotta dig it up. There's a pretty big forest between where the iron patch is and where the actual smelting area is. So I decided to go straight up through the iron, or straight up over the iron patch and to the left when I get to the smelting area. It's going to take a bit of time. There we go. Get one of the sciences. This should be the last red science, if I remember correctly. Shotgun shell shooting speed. There we go. Place all these things. Get the power poles going. We've got like 16 or something electric mining drills going there, which is it's a pretty good amount. It'll keep me it'll keep me getting iron for a while. Even when that first patch that I was mining dwindles. There was like 1.8 million iron in this patch, which can mean it takes a while to get rid of. There we go. And just taking a look to see how close the actual smelting area is to what I'm working on. And I figure I'll cut across here now. It looks a little thinner in this area. Of course, gotta chop down the trees so that I can get get all these belts through. So yeah, it's like until you get power armor with some roboports in it, it is actually tough to deal with the trees, especially when you're outside of the base, because you can't just put down a couple. Well, when you don't have robots, you can't get rid of them easily at all. Yeah, they're just connecting these things, trying to make so it doesn't go over the path. But yeah, like I was saying, like if you don't have the power, or you don't have robotics yet, you can't just, you have to chop down the trees or light them on fire, which doesn't get rid of all the trees anyway. There we go. I decided I want to double up the lines here, so I connect that one into there. Perfect, just make it with the... Yeah, so all that iron should be moving on pretty well. Looks pretty, looks like it uses the full throughput of the belt, which is good. I figure, you know, looks like I'm a little low on power, so I'm going to have to upgrade that. Need more iron for that thing. And yeah, just wander down. The iron's getting there, so it should use the full stack. And should help quite a lot when I upgrade the smelters to level 2. Should be able to get good throughput with that. You'll notice a lot less throughput on the iron stack on the right, and that's because half of the stuff on one of the on the smelter design is going towards the actual steel production, which does mean it's tough to get the iron ore to the right location, and it's never really been a big enough problem that I've had to like substantially try to deal with it. But yeah, building stuff so that I can get more power. Need more power so that I can build more things. Light up the area, you know, as usual. Eventually the steam stack, if I keep using steam into the game, it'll actually get to the point where I can't easily build more because of that stone patch, and I don't like building over resources. It's always rubbed me the wrong way. It's like you spend all this time trying to build these or trying to use these resources. I don't like building things on top of them so that I kind of like lock away those things for a substantial amount of time. And normally I never disassemble the original steam stack. Yeah, so I have a research pop, but I haven't decided what I want to do next. I'm still working on the power, which is more important, so I check that out. Like taking a look to see how much of each resources I have, and it looks like I've got quite a lot of green science backed up. I'll get the path to continue all the way up into the area where the stone is, or where the smelting, the power is. And yeah, just like running around, trying to figure out what I want to do. The next major goal is to upgrade all of the smelting area into level 2, the advanced material processing smelters. And once I do that, I should see a pretty big explosion in production, and I'll have to worry more about the actual mining of the resources rather than the usage of them. So you can see the belt isn't perfectly compressed, so I'm going to need more miners if I actually want to properly fill that out. So the goal is to add more miners and also add more belts to increase throughput. And I do want to mine most of that iron patch at once. It'll be my primary iron patch for a while until I get like robotics, so I can do lots of train outposts and things like that. So it is a good idea to get high throughput in this area. So chopping down the trees, getting more belts down will help quite a bit. Let's get rid of those ugly dead trees. So yeah, we're about almost halfway through advanced material processing, which is always a good thing. You can see the trying to mine the iron patches is always a bit difficult before you can just like put a blueprint down to mine them. It takes quite a bit of time before you can get to an area where you can just mine the entire patch at once. Normally it's tough to place them in the early game because you can't just have robots do it for you. It's always a bit of a frustration, and because the mining drills cost so much, they're hard to automate in this game as well. So it's difficult to get enough mining drills for the whole patch, difficult to get the power for the patch, difficult to place them for the patch, and finally you need to use a lot of the mining drills to make blue science. It was like the very beginning of the patch, I think it only required, or blue science required assembly machines, which were fine to automate, but then they changed it so that it requires mining drills instead, which is a lot tougher to actually utilize. Here we go, I'm just filling up the stack. You can see I'm pretty low on circuits right now. I'm not holding any in my inventory, which makes it tough to do this. You got lots of trees to dig out as well. But yeah, the goal for this is to try to get kind of the same way that I did the red science, or that I was doing the red science. I want to get to an area, or every time I run out of science that just requires a certain type of pack, I want to always have the next level of production for that pack. Which means that I gotta do quite a lot of work. Because right after red and green, you can do some of the military sciences. And the military science packs they're not hard, but they're not the easiest thing. Mostly because of the gun turrets. Gun turrets take a lot of iron as well as a lot of gears. So it's tough to make those properly. And then the next science after military science packs is normally the blue science packs. Now those things are hard because to make blue science you need red circuits and electric mining drills. The engines you need for them are not that hard to do. Like, as long as you have a belt of steel, you're probably fine. But I find the mining drills tough, and I find that the red circuits get used quite a lot in advanced processing units, which makes that a bit tough. So I decided to cut off that second ore patch on the top left, and just use the one at the end of my bus as the main system. I'm going to be adding a second column, or a second stack for them pretty soon. Maybe not this episode, but eventually I do, so I actually get 2 full yellow belts going to my smelting setup. We're almost done on advanced material processing, and then it'll be all about upgrading these smelters. Yeah, even with the higher research cost, yeah, I'm gonna say resource. Even with the higher research cost, I find that the science goes decently quickly with 20 science packs, and I kind of like it because it gives me lots of time in between researching things to actually build a system that makes the thing that I researched or upgrades the thing. So it's like between advanced material processing and whatever I research next, I have lots of time, or whatever I finish researching next, I have lots of time to actually make the full smelting setup that I need. So right now I'm not researching anything because I have a pretty low amount of iron, or of green science. So I want to wait for that green science to pop up a bit. And yeah, next thing I want to do is definitely logistics. Getting level 2 belts isn't that hard because it only requires red and green, and it does increase your throughput quite a lot. Normally in Factorio I would ignore the second level and just skip straight to the third one, since the old green science in previous versions was a lot, or the old blue science wasn't that hard to get. So you could just essentially ignore the red belts and just go straight to blue, because it wasn't impossible to get those. Yeah, just upgrading that, getting a second layer of iron, so I get more throughput. But yeah, because of the higher research cost, I find that and the upgraded requirements for the packs for Logistics 3, I find it is actually worthwhile to use red belts significantly in the mid game. Yeah, until you get like the really high tech sciences. There you go, you can see my second column there. Until you get the really high tech sciences actually going somewhere, and it doesn't really seem worth it to try to upgrade to the next level. Yeah, so here I am adding the second column so I can get more resources into the smelting setup. It should be a pretty good design overall. So yeah, I gotta check the power, make sure that the setups I have were actually are sufficient, and they might not be. I didn't actually catch that. I'm gonna see how the usage is there. Pick up more stone bricks, because stone bricks are required for the level 2 smelters. And I do need to upgrade all of these things. Even though not all of them are being used, I will be increasing throughput eventually, so I do want to get those going as quick as possible. And I get the exact amount that I need. And yeah, I'm going to get those other 20 for the copper setup. So yeah, the bottleneck in the early game is all about iron. Once you get that, then you can start worrying about other things. I'm going to place these lights. Cool. Got those down. And I haven't really had copper issues yet. The copper patch is far away and is pretty small, but the requirements for copper are quite low until you get to blue circuits and modules, and then it goes crazy. One more, there we go. Awesome. So we got all those down. And yeah, that's upgrading that. Logistics 2 is going. You can see the green science is on the belt, but it seems like it's decreasing overall, so I will need to upgrade that. I'm trying to see like what the problem is, and it looks like a low amount of inserters. Yeah, low inserters, and also the fact that there's not many assembly machines making green science seems to be the problem there. And I'm like, I want to dig this thing up, so I'm trying to get a whole bunch of mining drills in position. Just chop trees while I wait for them to craft in my inventory. It hasn't been worthwhile yet to actually upgrade or to automate the production of all of these mining drills yet. And I figure, like, I know that it requires Science 3, so I'll just wait until then. There's no need or not science. I know it's a requirement in Science Packs 3, the blue science, so I figure I'll just wait for those. Yeah, pretty good overall. Taking a look to see what the problem is. It is a low inserter count overall, and it looks to be a gear problem, so the loading of iron onto the gears is always tough. Because it takes 4 iron plates, one single blue inserter doesn't do it very quickly, and it takes almost no time at all for the actual... It takes almost no time at all for the gears to be unloaded, so there's like a huge imbalance in like providing iron to taking away gears. So I decided to double this up. It doesn't really solve the problem of the blue inserters, but it does make it so there are more gears available, as long as the iron input's good. And yeah, that's pretty much that. I'll be ending the episode. Thank you for watching Thomas Plays Games. I hope to see you all next time. Goodbye.